So the city had both a concept and the land. Now it needed public support, and the biggest hurdle of all, money. In 1993 and 1994, the city held several public meetings where it set forth the goal of building the project. Those goals were enthusiastically received. Pursuant to those meetings, the city's Director of Public Services wrote an application for an Enhancement Program grant from the Ohio Department of Transportation. In July 1994, the city received one of the largest per capita grants in Ohio for that year of about $1 million. Not bad for a small city of about 6,000 people. Interestingly, St. Clairsville is one of a handful of Ohio cities that does not have a municipal income tax. City property taxes are near the average for the state. The city wisely had established an account in its budget in which a portion of proceeds from estate taxes were set aside to match grant funds. So, a combination of federal, state, and city funds provided the financial foundation for the $1.6 million project. With the land and the lion's share of the funding now secured, the 4-mile-long project had great momentum, which was fueled even more by media attention over the first bikeway to be built in eastern Ohio. The project's innovator and primary proponent, City Director of Public Services, Dennis Bigler, knew that years of work and dozens of hurdles lie ahead. Bigler hoped to build more than an asphalt path through the city. His vision was to build a linear park to be used for travel, recreation, and to build a cohesive element for the community. Bigler wrote the statewide award-winning concept plan for the project in 1996, in which he stated his objective: to provide user interest, to educate, instill a sense of pride, a sense of history, to provide a dynamic landscape setting rather than a static path of asphalt, to create a community gathering place, and to integrate this trail into other key city areas such as the National Road, which is St. Clairsville's Main Street. Bigler said his goal was to use ODOT's enhancement funds to create the basic project, and then to add additional features using additional funds along with city money, and thereby enhance the enhancement. As ideas began to develop, St. Clairsville began the important and sometimes intensive work of selling the project to the neighborhoods through which the bikeway would pass. Instead of having a citywide meeting, the Bikeway Committee opted to meet with various neighborhoods one by one so as to address their concerns in depth. There was considerable controversy and apprehension. The city's goal was to convince the project's neighbors that their individual and neighborhood concerns would be met. Russell Grouse is a longtime St. Clairsville resident, a Bikeway supporter and neighbor.
Actually, I've had experience with bike trails in other parts of the state and all over the country. Whenever I heard that the St. Clairsville was going to put in a bike trail, I was elated. Well, I live adjacent to the trail, and I find the people using the trail are polite, courteous. The people that's using it is not ruffians or anything like that. You see people in wheelchairs. You see young mothers wheeling their babies in the strollers. I've been a resident of St. Clairsville since 1965. And as far as I'm concerned, the bike trail is one of the nicest things that could happen here.
There was also some general sentiment in the community that this project was a waste of money, and other needs were more important. But other needs didn't qualify for the hard-won $1 million grant, and a strong core group of articulate, talented supporters rallied in favor of the project, steadily increasing its momentum to the satisfaction of the community's decision-makers and the general public. Today, the project enjoys overwhelming public support, and many of the doubters are now regular trail users. With the concerns of the trail's neighbors addressed, the city's emphasis focused on implementing the design ideas set forth in the 1996 concept plan. The city was closely involved in implementing its concepts with every intricate detail, given great attention. For example, it's no accident that the finish of the outdoor ceiling fan in the gazebo matches the finish of the nearby decorative light poles, or that the color of the flowers in the hanging baskets complements those of the adjacent custom banner on the same pole, or that emergency vehicles can easily negotiate the traffic circle for bicycles that surrounds the gazebo.
It's all of the small details that, when taken together, make the project.
In order to enhance the enhancement, Bigler aggressively tapped the community for expertise and more funds. David Mertz, a local architect, was one of these asked to help.
Well, variety is the spice of life. We were trying to give a number of different venues on this trail so that everybody could really find their favorite spot. And we wanted to make it unique, and we didn't want to have just a long, boring trail, but every so often along the trail create something different, something to attract people, to move them from one venue to the next on the trail. We've also tried to give the walkers some opportunities beyond just walking along the bike trail. This nature trail provides a different texture to walk upon with the bridge and the wooded trail. It's a little more intimate than the bike trail is in terms of nature. You can hear the babbling of the stream next to us, the birds around. So we're trying to just provide a lot of different opportunities for people who are on the bike trail so that, every time you come on the trail, you might experience it differently. And it's more reason to come back and ride it or walk it again.
Indeed, it is the project's many features which make it unique. Let's look at some of those features. A 340-foot-long curved steel trestle elevated 60 feet above the stream bed and roadway below. Ohio's only rail trail tunnel, 532 feet long, 42 feet high.
The tunnel is paved and has a lighted interior. The lights were carefully selected to preserve the cave-like feel of the tunnel's interior. They cast 90% of their light down, and 10% of their light is up to softly wash the ceiling of the tunnel, which is under the National Road. The lighting conduits are either buried into the wall or underground beneath the trail surface itself. The face of the north head wall contains a two-level overlook down onto the trail. At the top, visitors are 82 feet above the trail surface itself. Benches, picnic tables, landscaping, and a mulched footpath to the school and businesses near the tunnel complete the connection.
Rehabilitating the tunnel was no easy task, as George Carroll, president of JD&E Incorporated, its contractor, can tell you.
This is an old railroad tunnel that originally was built in 1902. For the bikeway, we were the contractors to install the new head wall. As part of the project, we provided value engineering to the city to maintain the existing trees and to provide a new structural head wall. The new wall was a new concrete, reinforced concrete wall applied to the existing concrete, where we were able to maintain some of the existing structures. This approach involved tiebacks that were installed into the rock some 25 feet, which was able to support the new wall. Again, it was able to provide an ecological approach to the project. We also were involved in installing rock bolts in the existing tunnel, which maintained the existing gunite lining. We installed some epoxy sealant to certain cracks to maintain the gunite lining. Because Jarvis, Downing, and Empsch was involved in both the construction and design of the project, we were able to afford the city of St. Clairsville some money, which helped pay for the stairway. One of the challenges here was the working in confined space. We had to maintain trees, we had to provide hand excavation and hand placement of concrete. We had to use 100-foot cranes to install concrete and handrail and stairways. And we also had the constant challenge of getting trucks in and out on an old railroad bed. As you can tell, all those efforts have come out well.